I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday. Let's do this damn thing. Good Friday morning. It is August 23rd. Before I forget, they're not listening. Bob and Bunny Gorman, happy anniversary.
Oh,
my
sweet.
brother, my oldest brother, and my oldest sister-in-law celebrating, 49 years today.
It's a good run.
Oh.
Yeah. First time I ever got drunk was at their wedding. At least I thought I was, because the guy gave me a root beer but said it was a whiskey sour, so I walked around acting drunk. I was 9. I just turned 10, actually.
I hope when they argue today, it's about something nostalgic. Like back in, they go all the way back to that
Wouldn't
first
that be
day.
nice?
That would be nice.
That would be nice. There you have it. I just one thing I didn't want to forget. That's it. It's out of the way. Here's something I'm not going to forget. It's time for the top 5 at 6. Let's roll. Here is what you need to know with the weekend ahead. The Minnesota Vikings will face the Eagles in preseason tomorrow.
Practice.
And it's a
preseason practice.
Open practice. That said, Justin Jefferson will not be on the field, but he is hoping to call some plays. He said he talked to the coaches. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to be on the sidelines with the coaches. I think, they might as well just let me call a few.
Yeah, I can't wait till he's back on the field.
Yeah, I can't either.
Let's get him off the sideline.
Yep. That's going to be very exciting to see him playing football as opposed to standing there. Listen, I'm all for, the guys who weren't in the games having some fun, but come on, no.
Joshing around.
But, what we're going to do is watch. Sam Darnold will not be on the sidelines. Of course, J.J. McCarthy won't be there for the whole year. Let's see what Jaron Hall looks like. Actually, let's not. Let's just look at the highlights later. It's not like I'm going to tune in. I just can't get around on the preseason thing. I'm excited for the players for whom this is important. But as a fan, just tell me who you got at the end of the day, who's the roster, who's starting on when it matters, and then I will be there with bells on. Make no mistake about it. Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. Check this out. How often do you pull cash out of an ATM anymore?
It happens usually before I travel. I like to have a few 20s in my pocket.
I'm right there with you. I don't know what's going to come up, but I always just want to, if I'm getting on the highway, I just want a little bit of green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that feeling.
Yeah, it's weird to be in the car driving somewhere without at least a tenner, or a 20. The average ATM fee has now hit a record high of $4.77.
Crap. That means in Vegas, it's $100 for every 100 you pull out.
Yeah. I remember at some point in the 90s being, this is 30 years ago, and I went to an ATM at a casino, and it was $10 to pull. And I was like, what the hell? I couldn't believe it.
And you pulled the money anyway.
Of course. 4 times that night. What are you kidding? I'm just going to take out another 50. It cost me 60. Well, then I better get 100. And then an hour later, I'm like the walk of shame back to the ATM.
Right.
By the way, that $4.77, $1.50 goes to your bank if it's an out-of-network transaction. About $3.25 of that is going to the actual ATM. That's how they make money. I never knew.
It's like the candy machines.
Ooh, man. Boston, oddly enough, the cheapest ATMs at only $4.16.
Didn't see that coming. But
I didn't see that coming at all. Number 3 on your top 5 at 6. The top movie right now, topping the box office last weekend and looking like it will again, Alien Romulus, which I have not but will see.
You know what's? I heard the 8th maybe installment of the Alien franchise.
Yep.
I'm like, 8 really? I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah.
I love this.
You put the word alien up. That's all I need. Mm-hmm. I can take you right back to the summer of 1979. Yeah. 14 years old. And I'm not exaggerating, I was traumatized by the first Alien film.
It was tremendous.
I walked out of that theater, and that was unlike any movie experience I'd ever had. I was literally just like, like I'd been in an earthquake. Like the ground didn't feel stable. I was like, what in the hell did I just see?
Yeah, I didn't get to go because, I don't know, we just didn't go to movies back then. I had to see Star Wars in 78 after everyone had, given up all the spoilers and joined the clubs. But you'll love this piece of audio. Then 1979... parents just didn't realize how scary this movie was. I don't remember what the ratings were like in 1979,
really?
But it turned into a news story. Parents were freaking out that their kids were seeing this movie. Listen to this fantastic piece of audio of a news station standing outside a movie theater getting parents' reactions, and some of them had brought their kids. The second guy is golden.
You know that this was an R-rated movie when you brought him?
Yes, we did.
Are you sorry you brought him?
Yes, I am.
Are you glad you saw it? Yeah. Are you sorry, sir, that you brought your son along to see Alien?
No, ma'am. I think he should have seen it. It's something that he needs to know that things like that could happen in life. That could be a true story based on science. We never know what's going on the outside of the world.
Did the movie scare you at all? Yes, ma'am, it did. Would you recommend to your little friends who are your age to go see it?
No, I wouldn't.
I mean, one more time. The
Did you know
second
that
guy
this was an Alien?
No, ma'am. I think he should have seen it. It's something that he needs to know that things like that could happen in life. That could be a true story based on science. We never know what's going on the outside of the world.
On the outside of the world.
Yeah, outside of the world.
I believe that was a Southern accent, Steve.
Son, you need to trust your science. Should get a science class to see what's happening up there in space.
Man, what in the world was that?
Yeah.
No. Do you wish you had seen? No. It was good. It's you never know what's going on there outside the world. Yeah. No, I know it was rated R because I had to sneak into that bad boy.
Yeah.
I paid my money to go see whatever, like Six Pack with Kenny Rogers or some nonsense like that, and then walked over to see Alien. Hey, how about this quick morning mention to our friends up in Chicago City? Wake up, come on down. Let's go to the fair together. What do you say? Chicago City, been there only one time.
Yeah.
Seemed like a very lovely place.
Right, exactly. Chisago.
Chisago.
I know, it's a little Chisago.
Chisago.
You did say Chicago.
Oh, I did.
And it's weird. Right
I'm sure it's not the first time it's happened in Chisago.
No, it's not.
Oh, I know it's Chisago. Wow, that is really weird. That's like it's like it is a cross up in my mouth as I'm saying it. I'm so used to. Yeah, no, I can read. I just can't speak. Hey, number 2 on your top 5 and 6. The DNC's over. Vice President Harris accepted the nomination last night, and now they're off to the races. This election, the sooner it's over, the better, because I'm a big fan of what they do in England. 6-week campaigns. Okay,
Yeah.
who's running? You got
Is that
6
it?
weeks and then you vote. Yeah, I'm already. I mean, this. I know it's a big shakeup with Harris, but I just feel like we've been waiting. I feel like we're 4 years into this election cycle.
Either you know or you don't know. I mean, either you know, right? I mean, we don't need to be. But here come the political ads. And when I say political ads, I mean money. Thank you.
Yeah.
Give generously to your local radio stations. And as a listener, just be patient. Know that we're taking a vacation right after Christmas thanks to this.
Oh well, then hold on. Let's push the election off till next summer. I forgot. I took my eye off the ball there. My apologies.
Where's that PAC money at?
Number 1 on your top 5 and 6. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that we'll see you at the state fair today.
Yep.
We are heading over at the corner of Cooper and Lee. We'll be there by 11 a.m. And not only do we hope that you come up and say hi and give us a hearty slap on the back and a high five and a fist bump and an elbow shimmy. How about this? Come loaded for bear with your little kid or drunk adult stories. I'm sure you guys know the game, little kid or drunk adult. We play it regularly, and we would love it if you've got a story, little kid or drunk adult. We'll record them. We'll get you involved. We'll bring them. Be ready to chirp a little bit into some sort of recording device. If you have a little kid or drunk adult story, that's something to come out and see us. Corner of Cooper and Lee, 11 to 1 today.
Yep.
Yeah, you bring your little kid or drunk adult story. You come out and have a little bit of fun with us, and I promise I will give you my empty beer cup. As soon as I finish it, it's yours. All your little souvenir cup for you.
Excellent.
They have beer at the fair?
Rumor has it.
Oh, that's great.
We'll
Well,
find-
that changes everything.
going
Both
on a
kinds,
scavenger.
warm and cold.
Yeah. Well, fair enough.
All right.
Let's see. We all take advantage of a delivery on occasion, Uber Eats or Postmates, whatever. You're sitting around, you're like, I don't want to go out and get it. I don't want to go out and get it.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, sometimes there's roadside deliveries that are just as important, probably even a little messier. We'll talk about one. Hang tight.
Yep.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Friday, August the 23rd. About a year ago, if you were listening to this show, you may remember the fact that I was taking this dog, Chauncey Gorman, for a walk, and I got home, and I looked down, and I was like, hey, where's my wedding ring? It was remember that? It fell off somewhere on this walk. And I went and retraced my steps, couldn't find it, had to give up the ghost after a while, replaced it, all is well, but it was a little jarring to go, a guy in Massachusetts had the same situation happen. Looked down and went, hey, where'd my wedding ring go? But he hadn't been walking the dog when he lost his ring. A little bit different story. Danya and Rebecca, on their way to the hospital because his name is Danya and his wife is Rebecca. She is in labor.
Yeah.
And they need to get to the hospital stat. Didn't quite make it. Anyway, we're going to play a little bit of audio. They're explaining some of what happened.
We got in the car. The GPS said 56 minutes. One contraction later, he had pulled over to the side of the road. I was already holding her head.
Boy, we made it 26 minutes into that 56-minute trip.
Yep.
My wife is an absolute legend. Just went back to where my daughter was born on the side of Route 6 and found my wedding ring, which apparently had come off my hand during the delivery.
Well,
Oh, I lost my
Very
ring
happy.
delivering my child in the backseat of my car. That's quite a story.
I thought the baby was already born before he pulled off to the side of the road, but sounds like mom was just holding that baby was coming quickly.
Yeah. Pulls over to the side of the road in the middle of Massachusetts. Baby delivered right there in the backseat, and somehow not somehow, it's probably pretty obvious to imagine how the ring slipped off his finger. They say, if you can't get the ring off, just put some soap on there. Well, there's probably some baby love got on there and it slipped out.
Was it like amniotic fluid?
Hey!
Is that what they call?
But here's the craziest thing. 3 days later, he goes back to the scene of the delivery and found his ring on the side of the road. That's the amazing part to me.
The happy ending to the happy ending.
That's pretty great. Here's another story I told briefly, but one of my closest friends had this exact thing. He and his wife racing to the hospital. This was 3 a.m. on a country road in rural Ireland, and she was like, pull over. He's like, no, I'm going to pull over, and pulled over on the side of the road, opened the back door, and bang, his daughter just came right out into his hands. Yeah, okay, that's one way to do it.
It turns out that on our way to the hospital, which was from downtown Minneapolis to Abbott, which is also in downtown Minneapolis, maybe a 2-minute ride, I could have, in fact, drove to Chicago and back, and then back to Chicago and back again before that kid was born. She was in there for no roadside baby for us.
No, we had, similarly, driving to the hospital, contractions, have to pull over for every contraction because it just was so painful, and the bumps or anything in the road made it worse. And we got there, and then 16 hours later, still, really? We're going to, we got it. Really? Anyway, it all ended up, all's well that ends well.
Yes, sir.
So no complaints. But that's a bit of a story for you right there. Coming up next, we've got some S&M, I see. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's sports and music history. Hang tight. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, August the 23rd. Led Zeppelin, 4-piece monster out of England you may be familiar with. All My Love from their final album, In Through the Outdoor. A beautiful, heartbreaking song. Robert Plant wrote that for his 5-year-old son who had passed a couple years earlier. That's about as beautiful as Led Zeppelin ever got, which is saying something because they had a few nice ones along the way.
Yeah, they did.
That's a gorgeous song. I was listening to that song on the morning radio, and when the song ended, then I was told right after that by Paul Harvey, of all people, that John Bonham had died. That's how I got the news.
Really?
I got the news of Keith Moon's death and John Bonham's death 2 years apart, both from Paul Harvey in the morning.
Well, I mean, he was the man. He was on every damn AM radio station from here to Timbuktu.
I'm surprised he
news
didn't
from
say
London.
Bonham.
John Bonham, known as Bonzo by his friends, dead at age 32.
Age 2.
And God created a drummer. No, wait. I'm crossing the streams there. I apologize. Hey, good morning, everybody. The fair, we're in day 2. We're very excited. We're heading out to the fair at 11 a.m. today. Corner of Cooper and Lee. We'll be there. Come by. Lay it on us. Let us know what's on your mind, especially if you've got a little kid or drunk adult story. We'll be soliciting radio content. Little kid or drunk adult, we play it regularly around here, and we're going to ask if you have any of those stories to share. If not that, just come by and, throw a high five at us. We'll take it.
Buy a T-shirt.
Buy a T-shirt.
Buy a T-shirt.
And contribute some content. And by the way, we're not going to pull you into a studio and,
Not at all.
spotlight in your face and an on-air light and all that good jazz. We'll just catch you right there on the patio with a quick, were you drunk or were you a little kid when you did? You fill in the blank, please.
So the fairgrounds is technically, it's in St. Paul.
Yes.
Yeah. Falcon Heights.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which
Falcon Heights,
is not West St. Paul.
No,
No,
West
sir.
St. Paul is south of St. Paul.
Right.
Yeah.
West St. Paul is south of St. Paul, and West St. Paul is its own city.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
It's not the
yeah.
west side of St. Paul. It's West St. Paul.
Oh, yeah, mister. Yeah,
See?
that's...
Living and learning around here.
Yeah, I lived right on the other side of the river, right down 7th there in St. Paul. And I was like, oh, you live just across the river in St. Paul. South St. Paul.
Right, sure.
Yeah,
so
they'll correct
I
you.
just wanted to give a shout out, not to the people on the west side of St. Paul, screw you, but the people in West St. Paul. Good morning.
Yeah.
How about that? See, we're all having fun and we're all learning about things here, sharing some pizza, learning about Cuba, whatever it takes. Sorry, I still have a Fast Times at Ridgemont High reference for pretty much any situation that ever comes to me. So we are heading out to the fair today, and we're very excited about that. A little further south of here, there's also a state fair going on down in the state of Tennessee.
You don't say.
Tennessee. Going down to Tennessee State Fair.
Tennessee State Fair in Lebanon, that's a little east of Nashville. They have a competition there. It's called the Husband Calling Contest.
Oh.
And they do this every year, and women get up there and they just show you how to get their husband's attention. It's a competition, and people literally drive in from all over for this specific thing. Now, we've all seen, you got hog calling, suey pig. Yeah. Here's a little something that happens in Tennessee. Here's a husband calling competition.
Oh, jeez. Oh,
Supper! Wake up! I hear something outside. Can you get up and find out what it is?
all right.
Get that snow shovel!
Get that snow shovel.
That snow shovel.
She's from Minnesota. How do they say it these days? Triggering? That was a triggering piece of audio right there for a lot of husbands, I think.
I can assure you, if I heard that noise, my thought isn't go closer to the source.
No,
It's
that's...
turn my ass the other way and run.
Where's the nearest American Legion?
Imagine if she's looking for hubby at Target.
Yeah, it's that's not a contest at the Minnesota State Fair, but you'll hear some of that out there. Yeah.
I'm sure you will.
The nearest
Husband on a leash.
Nearest American Legion. No kidding.
They know where their husband is at the State Fair, right where they dropped him, the beer garden.
Great moment at the Tennessee State Fair 10 years ago. Brought my daughter and a buddy.
Yeah.
They're 12, and so I'm keeping my distance from them. I can see them, but I'm 20, 30 yards away because two 12-year-old girls don't want dad hanging around.
That's right.
But we're on this giant state fair. There's the Midway, and there's it's a Friday night. It's I'm not getting too far away. Yeah.
Teen boys.
I less worried about them than the whole thing. I mean, come on. I and my daughter and her friend, they got on the Himalaya, which as a child was always my favorite ride.
I mean,
bar none, because they blast the loud music and you got the guy running it and he cuts into the middle of the song. Do you want to go faster? They always have that high, weird cocaine meth voice all the carnies have. And so Marley and her buddy get on the Himalaya, and I'm standing outside. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And I said that was my favorite ride as a kid. And as they're loading in, they're rocking like some Stones tune. It's like, because it's not modern music. It's still like rock music. And I'm like, this is so cool. And right as it's about to start, the guy kicks on Remedy by the Black Crowes.
Wow, hell yeah.
And Marley looks over at me, and of course I'm like, I told you I was cool. I'm like, and she's mortified because she's like, oh my God, and I'm literally yelling at her over, see? And I'm pointing to myself. No one knows who the hell I am.
No,
but she's convinced everyone's immediately going to know.
So you yelled you were cool.
Yeah.
Which is the uncoolest thing to do.
The single uncoolest thing one can do. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing on the way to school in the morning, like flipping channels on Sirius or whatever, you hear like, my kids would always put on the 90s to make fun of 90s music. That was like part of it. Turned into a bit for a while, but a few times there would be a Crow song, and then I would just crank it as we'd pull into school, and they're like dying in the car. Like, I said, you tell all your friends I listen to the Black Crowes every day. They'd be like, turn it off, torturing them. But that was that. But honestly, and then the ride started. But that was one of the moments, and there's not that many, where I literally was like, oh my God, my kid's on the Himalaya and they're playing like it really did sort of blow me away because that was, as a kid, if you told me that, I would have been like, oh, I'll sign any document for anything to say that was going to happen one day. It was pretty awesome.
That is kind of cool. In my 20-some years at KQ92, once or twice I've been proud to work here.
Nice.
There's been a moment where I'm like, hey, I work for that radio station. But
Hope
no.
springs eternal. We'll get the trifecta completed here today at the fair. Zepp, what'd you say you were going to eat? 9 pounds of fried pickles? Was that the record you were going for?
9 pounds of fried pickles.
Nice.
I wonder how a fried pickle might pair with deep fried ranch. It's almost becoming, a little too trendy out. But that's at State Fair. That's when you can get into it. You don't have to pretend to be cool at the State Fair and go, well, that's what everybody else is eating. I'm not going to eat it. You're damn right I'm going to eat it.
I think that could easily be looked at as sort of like the new PB&J.
Yeah.
I don't think anything could possibly be better with a fried pickle than fried ranch. Speaking of state fairs down south and how weird it is, the Kentucky State Fair is also happening right now, and they had a competition involving dioramas. Remember, diorama is like a
I've had that.
Like a landscape.
Box, yeah.
I might get that after the fair today.
Little bit of different thing here. There's
Explain it to me.
diarrhea. A diorama is a miniature version of a landscape or a room or a building. It's built. You just build one in a shoebox, like as a kid.
Like a little scene.
Yeah.
Right.
They have a diorama contest at the Kentucky State Fair. Artists do intricate models of whatever they want to do. The third place ribbon for this year's Kentucky State Fair went to a diorama of a porn casting couch.
Oh my gosh.
Literally, a guy made a diorama, and it's like a little office, but there's a desk and a chair in front of it, but a couch to the side, as if to say. And I'm reading about this, and there's all these videos of porn. It's like a casting couch, like literally, well, this is what we do in the movie. You'll have to show me you're good at it.
You're gonna be a star.
Now there's no Barbie dolls or GI Joes involved. It's just the furniture in the room. But that's what he submitted, and it got third place.
Right, well, art is art.
It's a black couch, a cheap gray rug, a little office. It looks like a little simple office desk, a little camera he carved out of wood in the corner. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Tiny little lines of Coke.
Once the photo, it was on display for 5 days, and but then some photos went viral, and then the judges were, hey, by the way, do you know what this is? And then they pulled it off the display. They said, "Oh, it's an inappropriate build."
God bless their naive hearts out there at the Kentucky State Fair. I wonder if on the little couch, if you flip the cushion, if you would see the stains. I mean, I don't know how detailed they got. Yes, right.
Ooh, man, I
nice.
tell you. By the way, speaking of, let's bring it back closer to home. The Minnesota State Fair, of course, the food is a big deal. What about the protein? How are you going to get your protein out there at the fair? Maybe it's by eating a bunch of crickets, which you can do at the fair. Deep fried crickets.
Our fair?
Yeah,
Our
baby.
fair.
Deep fry it, right? And you can deep fry a cat turd, and I might take a
Company
bite.
called Three Cricketeers. They're selling cricket-based snack mixes, chocolate-covered crickets, and caramel popcorn with crickets.
All right, I'm going to be a full confession here. I've eaten crickets.
I have too.
And ants. They come back chocolate. I had a buddy that used to travel to China, and he'd come back. And apparently, if they're vacuum sealed in the whole thing, you can travel with them. And he brought back some. Thought it was a big deal back in the day. The deep fried cricket. Oh no, they weren't deep fried crickets. They were chocolate covered crickets and ants. And you know what they tasted like? Chocolate.
Yep. Yeah, I've had chocolate-covered bees.
Yeah, you know how many bugs I've eaten driving the motorcycle around the countryside? All right, I'm not going to get too worked up about this one. If it were like a juicy cockroach, with the goo inside, that would be
deep fried crawfish, maybe. Based in St. Louis Park, Three Cricketers, part of a booming cricket market. They're saying the insect protein market by the year 2030 is an $8 billion industry.
Wow.
I'm just going to wait for Armageddon. Okay. When we have to eat them, then I'll be like, all right, give me the damn cricket. But I'm looking at the menu at the State Fair, and I don't know. I mean, good for them. If I'm walking by and you're offering to buy, I will try a deep fried cricket.
Tony, you got something for us?
Sure does.
Nothing's better than a barbecue until the bugs arrive. Put them to good use with Bug Burger Helper. Mosquitoes, gnats, flies, fleas. Let them linger. Then grind them up and add them to the mix. It's your ground beef, our special seasonings. Just add the bugs for added protein and that special something.
Hey, Stan, what's different about this burger?
It's the bugs. So fire up the grill. But remember, it's not a burger until you've added the bugs.
You can really taste the gnat.
Bug Burger Helper and new bird dropping helper. Available in stores.
Coming soon for summer. Cicada helper. Look for the online coupon.
I've had the bird poop helper.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have.
bird dropping helper.
Oh, that's it.
BDH. Turned Zeps into BDH, man. What does that mean? You don't want to know.
No, I'm not.
As I mentioned, every now and again on the show, we play a little something called Little Kid or Drunk Adult. What about Drunk Kid? Let's just combine the two. How about Drunk Toddler? Hang tight. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good Friday morning, August the 23rd. We were just having a laugh. Cheap Trick, I Want You to Want Me. I love when Robin Zander introduces that song. I want you to want me. I've always said that is so Midwestern. It's just the perfect,
so clunky.
Yeah, it's great.
Even as a kid going into the Capricorn Club, the teen club there to play some pinball when I was a kid, I'd always go in. It was My Sharona and I Want You to Want Me. That's where my first quarter would go into the jukebox, and I always hated that. I want you to what? I love the song.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hated the intro. I used to blame it on Nielsen, the guitarist. Xander wouldn't say something stupid like that. They're like, no, it's Robin Zander. I'm like, no, it's not. It's that goofy guitarist. But hey, still rocking along and still cranking that tune.
Yeah, and still doing it wonderfully. In 1989, my band got a record deal, and we were about to make our first record. And right before we went into the studio, and we were starting to feel like we might actually have a shot at this whole thing, we played a parking lot at a burrito joint for their birthday party. And there's like 100 people maximum there, maybe.
An intimate gig.
A very intimate gig. And then we're playing the set, and lo and behold, we're just like literally, it's just in this back parking lot. And I'm like, that guy looks just like Robin Zander. And stinking Robin Zander walks up. He was in town for whatever reason. And he's just standing there. And we're all looking at each other like we'd never seen a real live, honest to God, rock star before.
Yeah.
And like The Flame had been out the year before. That was a huge hit. And we finished the set, and he comes over and introduces himself, and we're all just like, durr. and one of the guys in the band's like, well, do you want to get up and play one? And I remember thinking, no, we don't know any more songs. And so we said we know. Well, we do 30 Days in the Hole by Humble Pie. He goes, oh, let's do it. And this is like Superman landed.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And we walked back on stage, and the first time I hit the snare drum, the head broke. And my just the first hit, and I'm like playing. Everyone turns back around. There's no snare drum, and I didn't have a backup snare. I don't have two snare drums. And we just stopped the song, and it was like, that was about to be amazing.
Did they have a tub at the burrito place?
The band that opened, the guy had already packed up his stuff and left, and so the opening band's snare drum wasn't available. We didn't. That was it. The song lasted 14 seconds.
I mean, is it possible to play a tune without a snare drum?
Not when you're a professional.
Right.
Yeah, of course we could have. We were just. It just fell apart, and it was like, oh, screw it. Well, hey, it's great to meet you. I really hope he remembers. I bet he does. I was going to jump on stage with this local band once, and the dumbass drummer smashed his snare drum.
You were overly excited.
These things, I was overly excited. Not as excited as a couple out in California is. In Hollister, specifically California, a young couple with a 2-year-old daughter went to Fujiyama Japanese restaurant the other day, and they ordered some apple juice, and they brought it in a little kid cup with a lid. And their daughter grabbed it and was like, yeah, all right, apple juice. And during the meal, they noticed, well, she's acting a little weird. She's acting kind of funny. Yeah, that's because the apple juice was house-made cooking wine.
Oh, I thought maybe it just fermented, you know.
Nah, somebody grabbed the wrong stuff. It was inside the normal juice cup with a lid. Her behavior, as I said, her behavior became alarming. The parents went over and took the lid off and smelled it, and it's just clearly hooch.
Yeah.
there was a problem. They had to take her to the emergency room. Her blood alcohol level was 0.12.
Oh, okay.
So she wasn't going to drive home.
I was kind of blowing this off a little bit. Overprotective parents.
No, 0.12 is real.
Yeah,
0.12 is real for a 2-year-old.
Here's Mom.
She was swaying. She was falling over. She was leaning on the walls. She couldn't hold her head up. She was slurring her words.
I'm sorry, that was my date.
Yeah. Now, this story's only funny because it wasn't my kid.
Yeah,
No,
right.
kidding. No, it's so they said that they went public with this. They let some people know about it, and they said, "Look, we just want to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. Like, just a little. Hey, you know what? We're just letting you know this happened for all the restaurants. But just be careful. Always double check." And that's it. We just would hate for another family to go through this.
Yeah, a little public service.
And then a day later, they called up again and said, "We have an attorney now."
we might want a little more.
That story hit the local news. How many attorneys were just like, well, their little radar went, wait, hold on, what? What happened? So now we'll see. We'll keep you updated as it goes. But the drunken 2-year-old kid at a restaurant, I can tell you, that'd be pretty jarring as a parent.
I don't understand how those mix-up are made back there. You've got cooking wine and apple juice. Maybe you just keep them in generic containers. I don't know, but yeah, not a mistake you can make. That's bad for business.
I don't have any information. I don't know where this place is on a map, but something tells me that was someone's idea of a joke.
Oh, that's a
I'm
bad
sorry,
joke.
apple juice and cooking wine. No, you're not confusing those two things for one another.
I wouldn't think so.
Apple juice and canola oil, maybe.
I didn't know. I thought maybe they put them all in different plastic bottles and someone didn't read the label. I don't know how things work back there in the kitchen for these fine eating establishments. But yeah, that's a screw up the restaurant is going to end up paying for.
651-989-ROCK is the KQ talk and text line. And I believe we have Dana on hold with a story. Dana, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Good morning, Dana. First things first.
Good morning.
Favorite band. What is it?
Oh, favorite band would be the Beatles.
I'm gonna go with that all day long. Favorite team in any sport.
Ball team. I'd have to go with OU. I'm from Oklahoma, and OU football is my favorite.
Coming, yeah.
Boomer Sooner OU? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Wow.
Boomer Sooner.
Yeehaw. Fair enough.
Yep.
Man, back in the day, that was legit.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
They
fair
were the
enough.
team.
Well, Dana, what have you got for us?
All right. So, by the way, the young man that got drunk is listening today. So, his name is Brian. Shout out to Brian. All right.
Brian?
So, this was 1984-85. And for my sister's wedding, my mom made a drink, she called it, where she soaked pineapple and maraschino cherries in vodka for about 2 weeks. And so at the wedding, they're serving this drink, and everyone's giving the fruit to the little kids.
Oh, my God.
My son, Brian, who was the ring bearer, and his cousin, who was, I think, about 5, she was a flower girl. They're walking around just so drunk. It was hilarious, but at the same time, it's like, what the hell, Mom? Who's a strong, Southern Baptist woman who never drank in her life.
Man.
These little kids walk around drunk. It was funny, but yet, what do you do?
It's Wisconsin. That's just a good time. I was thinking about these parents with this glass of cooking wine instead of apple juice for their kid. Wisconsin, you can take your kid to a bar and legally buy them a drink, right? I think starting at age 5. I just made that part up.
Five might be a little young, but that's legit.
I made that up, but I know you can underage over there. But
Dana,
it's a rumor.
Thank you for the
Also
call,
at this
Dana.
wedding-
Hey, we're just glad Brian sobered up.
Took him a couple of days, but he finally did. But anyway, it was a lot of fun.
That's great. Thanks, Dana. We appreciate it. Is that? I'm curious. You mentioned that the other day. Is that still happening in Wisconsin? You can bring your underage child to a bar, and if they're with their parents, they can have a drink.
Someone out there knows. Enlighten us.
Yeah.
651-989-ROCK. Talk or text, but let us know. But yeah, I know that was a law because I've lots of friends with family over there, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, 16. My old man and I would be done working out in the field or taking a lunch break, and he'd drive me in, and he could legally buy his kid a beer. That was at 16, I know.
Tony, 2 for $1 for 5 and under.
Tony, back in the day, your high school years, late 70s, early 80s, whenever that is, you're a St. Paul kid.
Yeah.
What was the drinking age in Minnesota then?
It was, I can't remember, but we were going when we were 15.
I was going to say, I could see you as a young teenager walking into a bar and just ordering a beer without thinking twice.
Yes, Libation Station was famous for that. In St. Paul, in Sibley, the Sibley shopping center.
Yeah, and if you couldn't pronounce Libation Station, they cut you off.
So 15 years old, you're not thinking twice.
All the time we go there before school dances.
Well, I mean, we grew up in a generation of the 70s kids, the Gen Xers. It was fun to get the kids a little hopped up, They'd give them a little something. I remember I had an uncle that drank martinis. Still does, presumably. Uncle Jerry loves his martinis with the old classic olive in there. Mm-hmm. And we were, I don't know, pretty young, 10-ish, and he'd be handing us the olives, much like Brian would get his fruit here at the wedding, You'd have a vodka-soaked olive when you're 10 years old. That's about all you need.
That is all you need, for sure. Yeah, I was definitely... I wasn't a big drinker in high school, but when you start going to like high school parties, and I remember thinking like my parents neither one of my parents drank much at all, so that just wasn't a part of our family culture really. Yeah. But I'd go to my friends' houses, and like I had a couple friends, and like they had a bar like in the house, like a lounge looking thing, and I would be like, wow, like in my mind that just meant they must have gone to Dartmouth. Like that just was like Northeastern movies about college professors make cocktails, or my friend's dad who works at Napa. I was like, wait, the disconnect is so weird. But by the time I got to high school, I started realizing like, oh, like my dad doesn't drink, but everyone else's does, and I can remember just the idea of going the high school dance thing. That was like. Like beforehand, like where are you going to get
spike the punch?
Where are you going to get this? And then this couple of kids would be like, my dad will get us something. I was like, wait, what? Really? Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
Well, they weren't as lenient with carding then too, and luckily Richie Weinberg could grow a mustache.
Oh, if you had a mustache.
He looked older.
Yeah, no kidding. My buddy Darren over there in Wisconsin, thank you, Darren. It is legal in Scotty. The bar has discretion. Didn't mention an age, though, but...
Yeah, Pat confirming Wisconsin drinking with kid. Again, doesn't know the age. Wow, man, that is just that is amazing. Wait, we have someone on the phone, Ryder. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can check in with Pat.
Let's do it. Let's Pat, good morning. So you're telling us we can confirm Wisconsin drinking still allowed with your kid?
Yeah, Pat confirming. I know it was a few years ago when I took my kid to Stout, checked him into his dorm.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was 18. So it wasn't like 12, but he was gone his way to college then.
Yeah, he was 18, but...
I don't think most bars in Wisconsin, as much as we like to rib them and have a little fun with them, by the way, love me that state, feel like it's a brother from another mother from South Dakota. But yeah, no, they're not going to let a 12-year-old drink at a bar in Wisconsin. But I would think by the time you get to 16, maybe, depending...
Yeah, the mustache is
certainly
key.
18. Yeah, 18 over there, I would think. Yeah, well, we're just at Pat. You can take your kid out and have a beer. No big deal.
Pat, favorite band of all time, what is it?
Led Zeppelin.
There you go. Favorite team in any sport?
Oh, I'm a Minnesotan, so you got to know what I'm going to say. Minnesota Twins, baby.
Bring it on. All right, the Twinkies and Zeppelin. I like it. Thank you, Pat, for the call and the clarification.
Okie doke.
You can find us anywhere you get podcasts. Steve Gorman and the KQ Morning Show is available in podcast form. You can get it anywhere you get podcasts at any time you want. Sponsored by Devani's Pizza and Hot Hoagies. Wonderful, wonderful chow at Devani's.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it does the job for me. Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, and John Mellencamp. Yeah, okay, sure. Hang tight. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Friday, August the 23rd. Journey any way you want it. Apparently, the way they want it is with a mediation process now. By they, I mean John Kane and Neil Sean. Neil Sean issued a public statement yesterday. Anyone who follows Journey will know that John Kane and I don't always see eye to eye on everything, or sometimes on pretty much anything. Recently, John Cain made a number of claims and slanderous accusations about me and my wife, and I can't stress enough how much it upset me and how wrong they are. I am determined to take the high road and push all this aside for the moment to focus on our fans, the tour, and all who gave so much to make this happen. And then he goes on to say they're going to have an independent middleman come in and sort out the books and get it straight. They did cancel their European dates and their British dates and their Irish dates, so not all is well in the Journey camp, but hopefully they put this train back on the track soon enough.
Yeah, mediation. Where everyone's unhappy.
Yeah, pretty much.
No winners.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get screwed, but I didn't really win like I wanted to win. Well, good luck to those crazy kids. They've got a Journey American Express to pay off.
They get the new Journey Amex. I mean, they should put that line out there for sure. Yeah. The Outlaw Music Festival is coming to the Somerset Amphitheater September 6th, featuring Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, John Mellencamp, and oh gosh, look at that. We got a couple tickets right here. Callers 9 and 2, 651-989-ROCK will play. And somebody's winning tickets to see, as I said, Willie, Bob, and John at the Outlaw Music Festival. So call in right now. We'll get that lined up. And in the meantime, speaking of Bob Dylan, hey, Zimmerman, Minnesota. What's up? Did they name the town after Bob Dylan? That's so cool.
You know, I'm not even sure. Maybe it's been around.
That's great.
Probably longer than Bob's been. Maybe Bob's family. I don't know what the history there is, but here's what I do know. Right now, at this very moment, while we're speaking, and my mouth is filling with saliva, I'm thinking about the Hardys up there. It's one of the few remaining Hardys.
That's it. That you talk about this all the time. It's in Zimmerman?
No joke.
It's up in Zimmerman?
169 County Road 4, and I'm a breakfast guy. Of course, I'll stop there and get my big hot ham and cheese, but if it's before 10:30 a.m., they are serving up right now Frisco breakfast sandwiches. There's ought to be at the State Fair. They're so damn good.
This man loves him a Frisco breakfast sandwich.
I'll get up in the morning and living down in Golden Valley on a Saturday morning, and I just drive up there and get me some Frisco breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah.
If you go a little further up the road, I forget which one that is, there's another Hardee's, and sometimes I'll just drive there and get another one. And then on my way back, if I've timed it right, one more Frisco breakfast sandwich.
That is incredible.
That's a Saturday morning.
Listen, on Saturday mornings, everybody up in Zimmerman, be on the lookout. Zepp is... we got a bolo for Brian Zepp going to the... all right, fair enough. Well, good morning. It's good to have you with us, to our friends up in Zimmerman. The Outlaw Music Fest. Okay, Willie, Bob, and John. I'm excited about that. I've seen all three of those gentlemen multiple times.
Yeah, I went to one of those farm aids, so I guess the only one that would have not been there, well, Willie and... I think they were all there at one time, weren't they? With Bob
Certainly
Dylan,
could have been. I'm sure Dylan's done some farm aid.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's a safe bet, to be sure. Do we have a couple people locked in? Well, then
They're ready to play, my boy.
I am excited to play. It's Friday. What are we going to play?
I'm not that intoxicated.
Mommy, I have to go potty. Daddy.
Drinks are on me.
The KQ Morning Show presents Little Kid or Drunk Adult.
I'm so wasted.
Little kid or drunk adult? Hell yes. This is always a good time. Tickets are on the table. Let's get to it. Who is contestant number one?
First up is the lovely Julie from Mounds View.
Julie, good morning.
Good morning.
Julie, who's your favorite band?
Oh, probably Van Halen.
Right on.
Did she give us an ope there?
She did. I like that ope. Ope game is strong. Okay, Julie, any sport, who's your favorite team?
Oh, Minnesota Twins, without a doubt.
Nice. Van Halen and Twins. Bing, bang, boom. All right, Julie, we're going to play Little Kid or Drunk Adult. Do you know how this works?
I think so.
You're going to hear someone tell a story, and then you just tell us, were they a little kid or a drunk adult? Couldn't be any easier.
All right, Julie, ready to go? We're going to turn it over.
So.
All right, here we go. Listen up, Julie. This is Jeff.
I burned my leather jacket after a girl I had a crush on said I looked like a dumbass.
All right. He ended up burning his leather jacket after a girl said he looked like a dumbass. But was he a little kid or a drunk adult?
I'm going to say a drunk adult.
I was a little kid. I loved wearing this leather jacket that my mom got me for my birthday until my fourth grade crush Janine told me that I looked like a dumbass anytime I wore it. So when I got home, I Took my dad's torch and burned it to hell.
There you go. Made a good husband someday, that Jeff, doing as he's told.
I would like to add the role of Jeff being played by one of the Baldwin brothers.
I was just thinking that, too.
See, this is exactly why we want you to come out on the corner of Cooper and Lee today and share your little kid or drunk adult story. Some of these have to be outsourced, and I don't know, sometimes every once in a while.
Well, Steven is always looking for a gig. I mean, he's just... Oof.
Yeah. All right. Here we go, Julie. Get back on track here. This is Jen.
I got strep throat from licking a bowling ball.
All right. Jen got strep throat from licking a bowling ball, but was she a little kid or a drunk adult, Julie?
Gosh, I hope it's a little kid, but I'm going to go with drunk adult just for...
Yeah.
All right.
Just to guess.
Drunk adult. Okay, here we are.
I was a little kid. I went on this field trip. We went bowling. I thought the bowling balls looked like giant gumballs. Yeah. So I just kept licking them all day, one after another. And 2 days later, I had the worst case of strep throat of my entire life.
Oh, so much for parental supervision.
Can't blame her.
Right?
Oh, well, you should have go with your gut on this one, Julie. You've got one more, and I can't tell you how many times one right has one little kid or drunk adult. This is Vince.
One time, I actually called my dad in because he matched the description of being a terrorist that they were looking for.
All right. So his dad, even though his dad presumably is not a terrorist, he called his dad in for being a terrorist. Was Vince a little kid or a drunk adult?
I'm hoping it's a little kid.
Here we go.
I was actually drunk.
That's it. We have had
my pops.
We've had more than one. I know at least twice we've had a tiebreaker with 0 for 3.
Yes.
So that's what you're hoping for, Julie. It's a coin flip. It's a weird one.
It's safe to say this is the most difficult game to master because we
I
never know
think so.
Yeah, we don't know the answers either, and I'm never close to getting 3 for 3, much less anything else. So, Julie, all hope is not lost. Trust us. So sit tight for a second. We're going to bring up contestant number 2. Who have we got in the 2 hole? Who's contestant number 2?
Number 2 of the 2. Proud to be there is Connie from Oak Grove.
Connie, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're great. Connie, favorite band of all time, who is it?
Fleetwood Mac.
Fair enough. Fantastic. All right, favorite team in any sport?
Oh, definitely the Twins.
Definitely the Twins. Couple of Twins
Getting
fans
all the love
here today.
this morning, yeah.
A lot of love for the Twins right now. Okay, Connie, little kid or drunk adult, do you understand how this works?
Yes.
Great. Good luck to you.
Connie, meet Cohen.
I squeezed a bottle of mayonnaise on my sister's boyfriend while he was sleeping.
Squeezed a bottle of mayonnaise on his sister's boyfriend while he was napping. Little kid or drunk adult?
I'd say drunk adult.
I was a drunk adult. He passed out on my family's couch. His snoring was really getting to me, so I squeezed a bottle of mayonnaise on him out of frustration. He beat the crap out of me right in front of my sister.
Yeah, well, that's how that works.
Yeah.
There's the law of the jungle.
By the way, when you tell that story, you can leave that part out, dude.
Full confession here.
Yeah, really.
On little kid or drunk adult.
That guy's voice sounded a little bit like, there's this guy, and he put some toast in the toaster. Like that little voice we hear on Beat the Toaster.
Oh, you're right.
There's this guy. All right, Connie, bang. You're 1 for 1. Keep it up.
All right, here we go. Little kid or drunk adult. This is Christine.
I passed out in my neighbor's treehouse and had to have the fire department rescue me.
Passed out in the treehouse and needed rescued by the fire department. Little kid or drunk adult?
Oh, gosh. I say drunk adult.
I was a drunk adult. I got hammered and crawled up in my neighbor's treehouse. I ended up passing out but didn't remember ever climbing up there. So when I woke up, I was so confused. I was scared. I started screaming because I had no way of getting down. I guess I broke the ladder when I first climbed into the treehouse. The fire department was called, they got me down, and then I was quickly arrested by the police.
No, that's adorable. All right, that was a long explanation there. Jeez.
I can see my house.
Right. Connie, you're on a run. That's this game, Sometimes you guess wrong, sometimes you guess right. A final one here, Connie, is Molly.
So I pooped in my grandma's wig?
Molly pooped in her grandmother's wig as a little kid or a drunk adult.
Oh, I hope that's a little kid.
All right, let's find out. I'm clicking some buttons here. All right, here she is.
I was a little kid. My grandmother always had a bunch of wigs laying around, and I had a really bad case of the bubble guts. So I decided to crap in one of her wigs because I was too embarrassed to tell anyone I had to use the bathroom.
Oh, well, it's...
Well, that'll certainly solve that embarrassment problem.
Did Grandma put the wig on? I hope she told Grandma before she tried to fit that sucker back on before church.
She's going to a fancy event.
Man, Connie, 3 for 3, which honestly on this game is
rare.
That's a white buffalo right there, man. Well played. Julie, it was great to have you on the show. I'm sorry you didn't come away with the tickets, but it was a pleasure. Connie, congratulations. A Fleetwood Mac fan, a Twins fan, and hopefully a Willie, Bob, and John fan. You're going to have a great time September 6th at Somerset. Cheers.
Absolutely.
Man, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
That the rarest of all things, the 3 for 3 on Little Kid or Drunk Adult.
I'll tell you what, we've had a lot more O for 3s than we've had 3 for O's.
Yeah, no question about it. The little kid thing getting drunk, I mentioned earlier, on this day in 1975, my oldest brother, Bob, got married, and there was a bartender at the reception. This was, so I had just turned 10 a week earlier, and I went up to the bartender with my cousin, and I was like, hey, can you sneak us something? And he took a root beer, and he added like tonic water to it. And he goes, this is a whiskey sour.
Oh.
And I was like, wow, really? And I drank like 2 of this guy's whiskey sours. Mm-hmm. And then I was walking around like acting drunk. And again, I wasn't 5, I was 10 doing this. Like, that's a little too old to not know this is a guy jerk. But I was walking around because I'm like, wow, everyone's getting kind of loose and really having fun. And I've never seen these people dance like this before. And I was walking around as if I was, tying one on myself.
Yeah, that's why you're just trying to fit in,
That's what it was. Mm-hmm. Just trying to enjoy the day.
I bet
Bartender, set them up for everybody.
I bet they thought it was adorable. Back then, a kid acting drunk. Now, you'd be like, oh my God, the parents call social services.
Yeah.
But back in the day, that was just adorable. Look, he's acting drunk. Someday he will be.
That was drunk. My sister-in-law, Bunny, who up until that very day was my brother's girlfriend, of course. A few years earlier on my birthday, she gave me a painted rock. Because remember in the 70s, people would paint rocks because they were cool. It was a tiny little rock that I had it in my pocket on the day they were married. I have that rock to this day. I know I've never lost it.
No kidding.
What'd you paint on there?
It looks like I'll show you a photo. It looks like it's a perfectly rounded, oval-shaped rock, fits in the palm of your hand, and it looks like a blue and yellow ladybug. Those are the colors, like a ladybug.
No wonder you kept it.
And she gave it to me on like my 7th birthday, and it was just the idea of like, this is mine. My life was hand-me-downs.
Yeah,
hand-me-downs and leftovers. The Steve Gorman story. And I got this rock on my birthday, and I was like, I can't. This is so cool. And when she gave it to me, like I put it up on my dresser in my room, but then I was like, no, someone will take it. So then I put it in the dresser drawer, and then I would check. I mean, every day I was like, is it still there? And then when we moved a few years later, and I made sure I knew where it was, I wouldn't let it go in the moving truck.
Yeah.
Every dorm room, every apartment, everywhere I've ever lived since 1973, I've had that, or 72, that rock has been in my possession.
No
Wow,
kidding.
it's your talisman.
I've never named it.
No.
It's just my rock.
But you lost your wedding ring.
Did. Yeah, sure did. Yeah.
Still got that rock, don't you, Steve?
Damn straight. Damn straight. Yeah, that thing's awesome. It's right around the corner from here as we speak.
Well,
never far away from the rock.
I hope you never lose it. I don't know what kind of. Don't you think it might throw you for a spin? You'd feel.
Oh yeah, no. I think all my teeth would fall out or something. It would be weird. My central nervous system would absolutely shut down if that thing goes missing one day.
No one's. realize if we were roommates, that would be my first prank.
Of course.
To hide the rock.
Oh, sure.
Or to repaint it.
Oh, no. That would even be worse. Oh, my God. That would be so much worse. Hey, here's something I'm curious about. Let's talk. I'm talking about sex, boy. Isn't that from Raising Arizona? I'm talking about sex, boy. Let's talk about sex for a minute. Do you call it sex? Do you call it making whippy? There's a lot of good ones out there. What's the family-friendly euphemisms for sex? Let's discuss. Hang tight. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Friday, August the 23rd. Good morning. Pat Benatar's Heartbreaker right there. The drum track. Great drummer in the Pat Benatar band back in the day by the name of, anyone? Myron Grumbacher.
I was just going to let me at least get my mic on first. I had no idea.
Myron Grumbacher. I always love that name.
I did.
Myron.
Yeah. It's just great. I mean, and he had a very animated facial expressions when he played. I think he was leaning into the fact that his name was Myron Grumbacher.
Grumbacher.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a great stage name, but it's his actual name. My two favorite drummer names from back in the day in bands like that, Myron Grumbacher, and then, of course, Billy Joel had Liberty DeVito.
Oh, Liberty DeVito, yeah.
Great. Both of them, by the way, spectacular drummers. Just great. Liberty DeVito. What a name. I mean, that's his real name.
Right.
It's fantastic. What would you call him for sure? Like Libby or Lee? Liberty. What's your name? Bert? Yeah. You could call it Liberty. Bert? What's that short for? Liberty. That'd be great.
And everybody just called them DeVito.
Yeah. Or Ron. What's that short for? Ronald? No, Myron. That'd be pretty good. Nicknames, you go with it. But I like that they went with the full name for both guys. Speaking of names, 3 of the 4 of us have kids, and I would imagine there's a moment in time in life, early when you have the little kids at home, and they learn how to do that thing that's really annoying, walking, and you can't put them in a chair and they're not gonna, all of a sudden they start going everywhere. They get into everything, and occasionally, if you're a young couple and you got a toddler, you're gonna find that moment, and they come rare, and you got to figure out, you got to work it. Like, hey, this would be a good moment for us to go and,
The frisky window is open.
The frisky window has opened. And then you hear that little door open and, Mom?
Yeah.
Daddy? What's going on? The kids walk in.
We'd hear the TV come on. She was old enough. She had the remote. She knew how to turn on the TV, and it was always set to probably Channel 2, public kids. You'd hear that come on. Just freeze.
Yeah, right.
Like,
exactly.
Can we finish? We're not finishing. I mean, I'm just almost. Never mind. There it is.
Did you ever get to the point, though, where you had to come up with a way to was there ever a euphemism with the kids? Like, honey, Mommy and Daddy have to go. You're not going to say, we have to go make sweet love. You're not going to use that expression.
Right.
But people are sharing family-friendly phrases for intercourse. Some of these are pretty simple, like, oh, we're going to take a nap. I mean, that makes sense, because in case they open a door and you're in bed, you could say we were asleep, I guess.
Well, my parents were lazy.
If you're like Sting doing the tantric thing, that could look like sleep. That could look like a nap, I guess.
Sure.
There's a few, though, that stuck out to me. There's this one. Oh, we're helping each other with our taxes.
Well, there can be screaming involved with both, I suppose.
I guess. By the time but then the question is, what are taxes? Then you have to explain that.
IRS, I require sex. It works.
I ever heard, and was Scott, as he tells the story, a buddy of mine who had a daughter. He said that, that window, that frisky window, theirs was Sunday morning before 5 a.m. when the kids would not be awake.
Wow.
You wake up and then a little fun, and then everybody comes down for breakfast, and he just comes walking out of the bedroom door right after, and there's his little daughter just standing there right at the door. She's like, what's going on? He goes, I was disappointing your mom. That's what he called it. I was disappointing your mom.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm thinking of I'm trying to think of who it was, but they said their thing was we have to go get right with God. Someone told me that was what their parents said. We have to get right with God.
I heard trying to round you up a sibling.
Yeah.
I've heard that one before.
At that point, we're going to go over some Bible verses. I mean, if you're just going to say that. What about this? What about we're going to the moon and back? Wouldn't that be kind of weird? I love you to the moon and back, and then you're like, we're going to the moon and back, and then I was like,
well, I would never. Yeah, I'd never say to my kid again, "I love you to the moon and back." After I used it as a sex euphemism.
I'm saying. But... No, I'm saying that's what I. Yeah, why would you say that? You're ruining that expression for your kid.
Speaking of ruining that expression, my dad didn't have an expression, but I came down to the breakfast table one morning, quite young, and there was tension around the breakfast. I was always the last one down, of course, but there's my brother Chris and my mom and dad, and it's very quiet, not as busy and as loud as it normally is around the bowl of cereal, and everyone's sitting there kind of quietly. And then Dad says to Chris, "Well, do you understand I could have shot you?" And I'm like, what did I miss? I mean, what happened?
Oh.
I didn't get much of it because everyone's all clammed up. But as soon as Chris and I walk out to the bus stop, I'm like, dude, what's going on? He's like, well, I was going down to Mom and Dad's, but I woke up a bad dream, and I went downstairs last night, and I thought they were fighting, so I just decided to crawl into their room because they were fighting, and I didn't want to interrupt them. I'm like, okay, weird. He goes, and then Dad jumped up, and he started yelling at me, and then I ran back up to my room, and I was crying. I was like, well, I must have got a good night's sleep. I slept through the entire thing. And Dad was telling him that he thought he was an intruder and he might have shot him. And I'm like, really? Dad would have shot? I mean, we're in a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere and he just would have pulled the trigger in the dark and shot one of us? I remember it was kind of a scary concept, only to find out years later, no, they were having sex and Dad just panicked and didn't know what else to tell.
On a school night, nonetheless.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
Well, don't be low crawling into the Mom and Dad's bedroom.
Man, there was never, when my parents' bedroom door was shut, not only did you not open that door and walk in, you didn't even knock. It was like if they shut their door, that just meant, and it was years before it dawned on me, oh, maybe they were just getting busy.
Sure.
But it was just the rule. It's like you would just wait, and it could be 10 minutes or an hour, but if the door was shut, like we literally wouldn't even knock on their door.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Good policy.
It was a good policy. The only time I remember only time I ever saw, I never did, one of my siblings knock on my parents' closed bedroom door at middle of the afternoon, and it was my brother Dave, and he knocked on the door because he had to deliver a very important message, and it involved me. And this is his exact words. My mom said, "What is it?" And he said, "Well, you're not going to believe this, but Steven has a tick on his penis." Because I did, and we didn't know what to do about it.
That's when you knock on we're going to have to enact emergency measures here. We're going to have to knock on the door.
I'll never forget that.
Oh,
the way he said, "Well, you're not going to believe this." It was just like, yep, and those words just seared into my brain for life. Could never, ever.
Did you get that one, Tony?
Yes, I did. It may show up again.
Man.
I smell a new State Fair T-shirt.
Excellent.
Steve's got a tick on his penis.
You're not going to believe this. KQ Talking text line 651. I really don't know why I said that onto a microphone.
Well, we're relaxed. We're sharing.
651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. Here is a text. My daughter walked in and surprised us, asked us what we were doing. Our quick response, we're wrestling.
Oh,
that works. Yeah.
Sure. Doing some cardio, Who's
another
winning?
text, the horizontal rumba.
I've heard that one before.
From Mom or Dad, or
just in general.
I mean, in
just
general,
when there's
yes.
kids in the room and you want to say things, but you don't want them to know what you're talking about.
Sure. Right. We're listening to some Prince. That's
Boys,
on the list.
Why don't you just cut to the chase? Boys, go down to the basement and watch a movie. I'm going to go hog tie your mother. I mean, just come out with it at that point.
She's wearing a sundress today, and you know what happens.
I tell you what, when she goes with the floral print, my God. It's like that scene at the end of Big Fish, when she's out there in the sunflowers. And I don't know, it just works me over every time. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen when Mom and Dad have a little bit of tax time.
Oh.
And seriously, going back to that, you're explaining the tax code, and then the mood is just shot all the hell.
Right. Rich said checking the oil. You told your kid you were checking the oil, Rich?
Oh, come on.
Or you were told that.
Oh, my gosh. Speaking of things, when you want to keep information from your kids, at some point you do have to come clean. You have to explain how things work. Clearly, a woman in China was never given the talk about the birds and the bees from her parents. This is a true story. A Chinese company published a series of text messages between its customer service and a customer. They're like, hey, you got a problem? Text us. Mm-hmm. A woman claimed her daughter became pregnant after wearing underwear bought from the company. She put on your bloomers, and next thing you know, she's with child. What's in those bloomers?
They must have been some sexy panties, because that's how it might get there if they're just rather sexy. But Mom was suggesting that she just got pregnant
she
directly
contacted
from the
customer
undies.
support to complain that her daughter had become pregnant. The staff going to the wall trying to convince this woman that such a thing is not possible. They didn't ignore her. They took great efforts to try to explain. She insists that it was the only way her daughter could have possibly gotten pregnant and demanded an explanation.
Her little princess.
That's exactly what it is. There's no way she could have.
Coincidentally, that's also how I got chlamydia when I was married on a hunting trip. Just a soiled pair of undies, tough. I believe.
Yeah.
Never borrow undies from Dean.
In the end, customer service told her its factory staff consists exclusively of women. The only man in the whole department had a vasectomy, so there's just no way they can trace it back.
No, that's not how it works.
Literally have to do that. That's like, the old fable, the old urban or probably rural myth, but I've read this once, that the story of a civil war, a young woman in the South was impregnated by a bullet. You ever hear that story?
No.
A bullet passed through a man's scrotum and went went through his scrotum, obviously picked up some life seed, and then went into a woman and embedded in her womb and impregnated her. Was this story that was told? But just be all the things people will do rather than say, yeah, my daughter, she's a little loose down there. I mean, anything like that. Let's just come up with any theory.
Any theory, because that's immediately believable.
Yeah, well, of course.
Oh, my God. And the daughter is probably thinking initially when the mom says the underwear, or maybe the daughter cooked it up. But then she started calling the company, and the daughter's like, oh, my God.
Your daughter's Jane Smith. Jane, bury me in a Y-shaped coffin, Smith. Huh. Interesting.
Maybe it's immaculate.
Could be.
I think we're due for another Messiah. I read something somewhere on the internet, and why would Facebook lie to me?
It's time I performed a hand solo on Princess Leia. Get it? See? I like the original, and I'm just it's bugging me that I can't think of who told me this. We gotta go get right with God. That's a good one. I gotta remember that one. I don't know why I never brought that into the personal lexicon.
Damn, and here I was just dragging my ass to church every once in a while.
Go figure. The things you do. KQ Up North with Hoffman Weber Construction, October 3rd through the 6th at Cragen's Resort on Gull Lake. You can join us for a broadcast of the KQ Morning Show. You can attend our karaoke party. Why don't you join us for a dinner cruise? There will also be live music and a lot more with the KQ crew. Book your stay now. Go to 92kqrs.com. Sponsored by Hoffman Weber Construction and Cragen's Resort on Gull Lake. We're going to have a fine time that weekend. We're also going to have a fine time today. At 11 a.m., we, the KQ Morning Show, will be out at the corner of Cooper and Lee at the State Fair, hanging out with you if you want to come by and say hi. And we'll be taking some audio from some listeners, hopefully. We got to restock the little kid or drunk adult decks, as they say.
Yeah, and you don't have to overthink this. Just think of something stupid you've done as either a little kid or a drunk adult. If you think of something stupid you've done, there's probably a 92.5% chance that you were either a little kid or you were drunk. We'd love to hear it. And it's a very painless process. You don't have to go into any studio or anything like that out in the log cabin. Not going to corner you in there. We'll just record it on our phone.
Or share one you've heard.
Yes. Or just
make one
up.
Be about yourself.
Yeah.
We'll put you on the radio.
No lie
Fair.
detector at the KQ Outdoor Lounge.
We don't care.
Oh, my God. The list of things we don't care about, well, it's a pretty long list. Trust me. Trust me when I say that. It's almost time for the Top 5 at 9. Top 5 at 9. Hang tight. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Give me shelter, baby. Ain't going to be no shelter today. We're going to be out there, out in the streets with the people. I can't wait. I'm excited about the fair. It's opened yesterday, and I'm already like, we're missing it.
Yeah.
We haven't been yet. All things in due time. The Rolling Stones, Gimme Shelter. You could say that that's the greatest backup vocal track of all time. Mary Clayton singing the Rape Murder line. You could also say it's the greatest rock vocal track of all time. And I'm not going to argue with it because every time I hear it, I still go, damn, girl, get after it.
Right? Didn't she show up in her curlers in the middle of the night?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're in L.A. They're tracking. Hey, let's get a backup singer on this. How about it? And then, I know someone, and, she showed up in her 7 months pregnant, hair and curlers, walked in, knocked it out twice, left.
I heard that Mick Jagger cried when he heard the vote. Is that just an old
I don't know.
Myth,
I would have.
Rock lore.
Yeah. I mean, I got this song. It's pretty incredible. And then the cherry on top is that vocal performance. I'd get a little misty-eyed around that myself.
There's a lot of singers that probably wouldn't have allowed that to be on their record because it's just so damn powerful. And then, I'll chime in here, Mick. But he had some confidence swinging.
I was
going to
say, Mick Jagger in 1969, he was riding high.
They probably made sweet love after that.
Probably so. Well, maybe not. She was, as I said, 7 months pregnant.
Oh.
Mick Jagger.
I missed that part.
Yeah. Mick Jagger's confidence in 1969, right about where it is right now, probably. Yeah. Don't think it's ever really dipped, actually, come to think of it. It is Friday, August the 23rd, and right now it's time for the top 5 at 9. 5 things you need to get your day and, in fact, your weekend off on the right foot. Speaking of the weekend, Sunday at the XL Energy Center, 92 KQRS presents Alice Cooper with Rob Zombie, with Ministry, and with Filter. Ho!
Rock your face off, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this has got October 31st Shocktober show written all over it. But
really
you just take it when you can get it, man. This is going to be loud and rowdy.
Yeah, Alice is, it's funny. I remember I saw Alice Cooper in the 90s. And walked in there thinking, this will just be, I can't believe he's still doing that. I just didn't understand. I knew what it had once been, and I just thought, he's just still just running this same old shtick up the flagpole. It was astoundingly great, the show, the performance. The band is always kick-ass. You forget how many songs he has that you know. And then, he was what a showman. I mean, I literally was like, I'm an idiot. I had no idea how great this guy was.
I like Alice Cooper tunes. They're not, my MP3 playlist isn't full of them, but I'll go to an Alice Cooper show. Not mine as much, I'm not ripping down the road.
Such a great album.
There are some great albums out there, but for me, when I go to a show, it's for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I'll go each and every time.
Here's a weird one. Number 4 in your top 5 at 6. The average ATM fee has a new record high. $4.77 to use an ATM. I don't get cash often. I find myself without cash more often than with cash, except, and we already mentioned this earlier in the show, but if you're taking a road trip, I went over to see Hootie and the Blowfish a couple weeks ago, which is not even a road trip. It's 20 minutes over to Somerset, but I stopped and got cash. I don't know why. I was like, I better have some cash on hand.
Yeah.
If I'm going beyond the neighborhood, I want to have a little bit of money.
PSA, if you're going to the fair, there are still a couple of booths that only take cash. One would be the fried pickle stand.
Yeah.
To the men's club with the cheapest beer on the fairgrounds. I think last year it was $8 a beer. Only takes cash.
What do you know about the men's club? You just stay away from the men's club, all right?
I stole $20 off the counter this morning for my husband just so that I'd be covered for those 2 things.
He's still looking for that.
Took his men's club money.
I literally thought Ryder was going to say, I stole $20 off the counter at the men's club. I was like, whoa, damn.
She's banned from the fair. Yeah, last year was the first year I went to the state fair, and I loaded my pockets up with some bills, thinking, it's state fair. You got to have the money, and I do like to tip out there in cash if the situation arises that I'm tipping. But I came home with most of it. Yeah,
I used to not think twice about getting money out of the ATM, but if you're paying $5 extra bucks every time you're pulling cash, just go ahead and grab a couple hundred, and then you don't have to go back for a while. That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
If you are paying just under $5 per transaction, about $3.25 of that are going to the ATM. That's charged by the ATM. The rest is your bank for out-of-network transactions. So it's the ATM company that's getting more than the bank. I would have thought that was reversed. Just tells you that, I'm not really down on banking protocol.
I'm down on not throwing away $5 every time I need to pull some money.
I feel you, brother. Remember when $5 used to get you into a movie? That was the good old days, weren't they?
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Nowadays, speaking of movies, your top three, number 3, I should say, and your top 5 at 9, Alien Romulus, the 8th Alien movie. You said that earlier, and I looked it up because I was like, there's no way he said that. I didn't realize that there was that many. So I've missed a few along the way. Yeah. Make no mistake about it. But that said, I saw the trailer for this about a month ago, and I was like, oh, I'm going to see that. Haven't seen it yet. We'll see it because I see that damned monster open his mouth with the drool coming out. And
It's a xenomorph, Steve.
It's a what?
A xenomorph.
Oh, a xenomorph. Thank you. And I go right back to summer of 1979 and being literally traumatized by the first Alien film. Sure. I'd never seen anything half as scary and terrifying, and I walked out of the theater like with a limp. I just felt like every other step was like I was in a ditch. I mean, my equilibrium was off, is what I'm trying to say. Right. I was so jarred by that damn movie. I was like, I'm not prepared for this at all.
We thought we already had The Exorcist came out that was shocking and horrifying for that generation. The Omen came along somewhere along the line. And then Alien came out, and parents thought, I can tell you, these kids are desensitized to all of this horror movies. But it did turn into a big story in 1979. A television station standing outside a movie theater getting a reaction from parents and some kids that were there.
You know that this was an R-rated movie when you brought him?
Yes, we did.
Are you sorry you brought him?
Yes, I am.
Are you glad you saw it?
Yeah.
Are you sorry, sir, that you brought your son along to see Alien?
No, ma'am. I think he should have seen it. It's something that he needs to know that things like that could happen in life. That could be a true story based on, science. We never know what's going on the outside of the world.
Did the movie scare you at all?
Yes, ma'am, it did.
Would you recommend to your little friends who are your age to go see it?
No, I wouldn't.
What am I supposed to say? Yeah. Gus there in the middle.
Things like that can happen in the real world. It's science. You gotta. I'm half expecting him to go, well, see, now I saw the film as a metaphor for the coal mine.
That I would have understood and respected. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That could happen. If it happens, I bet it happens just like Steven Spielberg shot it. But Alien? You think that really? Okay. That was quite a leap to make there.
In 1979, I walked out of I was going to say 2. It was actually 3. I saw 3 movies that year in the theater that really changed, that I was just not prepared for. Alien was one, and then one was Apocalypse Now.
Oh,
By the final 30 minutes, I was so just over. My brain just shut down. It was like I've just taken in too much information, and I'd never seen a true war horrific movie like that. There was so much in that movie that was just blowing my mind. But the third one, in a very different way, was the movie 10, starring Bo Derek.
Okay.
Not only did I see 10 in a movie theater, I saw it with my parents. Hey, quick shout out, Charlene, listening up in Matamidi.
Yeah. Charlene.
Good morning, Charlene. I'm glad to have you with us on the KQ morning show. Matamidi, I first saw that town name early when I first got here last year, and you guys were telling me, you said, state championship hockey, you're going to love it. I'm like, I'm not watching high school hockey. I don't care. I turned the TV on, and 6 hours later, I was still watching high school hockey. Right. And I was watching Matamidi, and I was like, man, those kids are badass. It was awesome.
Yeah,
But I will forever think of that when I see that town name. Charlene, good morning to you. Number 2 on your top 5 at 9. The DNC is over. Vice President Harris has accepted the nomination for president, and which means Tim Walz is officially the nominee for vice president, as we all know. The next few months, hey, bring it on. Bring on those political ads.
Do you think his son's going to be just a little embarrassed moving forward? Did you see the crying?
Oh, yeah.
He's just amazing. Bawling like a baby.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's embarrassing.
He's
totally
show
sad
emotion. We're Minnesotans, for God's sake. You know, crying like you're from frickin' Iowa or something.
You need the release sometime, though. I cried when I saw it. It was just late at night, and it was too much. And I just let it go.
Sick.
I'm sure I do.
Yeah, Governor Walz was a coach. He wasn't Bud Grant, okay? Relax.
Bud Grant never cried in his life.
Man. Number 1 on your top 5 at 6. Did I bury the lead? We're going to the fair, ladies and gentlemen, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will be at the corner of Cooper and Lee, and we certainly hope you will also be there because we'd love to say hi.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
we
skipped
would.
my cold pizza this morning for breakfast. I pulled it out of the refrigerator, and I went, no, State
Attaboy.
Fair Day.
Attaboy.
Save it.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. There is a contest I'd like to tell you about. Lenny Kravitz is going to perform in Las Vegas. Lenny Kravitz Blue Electric Light taking over the Dolby Live at Park MGM this October, and you could be on your way to see him. How about this? Why don't you try to score a trip for 2? That includes round-trip air, a 2-night stay at Park MGM, and 2 premium tickets to see Lenny Kravitz in Las Vegas. Text the national keyword ROCK, R-O-C-K, to 95819 right now to enter for a chance to win. How about that?
I'm doing it right now.
How about that? All right, the fair is in our immediate future, but that doesn't mean we don't have time to look back. Sports and music history coming up. It's the 23rd. Good morning. If you're just joining us, why aren't you already at the fair? Minnesota State Fair Day 2, Day 1 for us. We're on our way shortly. We're going to get out of here and head that way from 11 to 1 o'clock today, at the very least. We will all be hanging out at the corner of Cooper and Lee. Come by and say hi. We're looking forward to seeing you. Quick story, I should say, from Minnesota, from Massachusetts. Wait, which one are we in? We're in Minnesota. Okay, this is Massachusetts. A woman in labor, her husband, they get in the car. It's time. She's in labor. Well, let's head to the hospital. He says, sure, let's go, babe. They hop in the car. They plug in the GPS, and it says 56 minutes. But then things came up and didn't quite go according to plan. A ring was lost. A baby was born. It's a whole thing. Here's a little bit of audio from the couple.
We got in the car. The GPS said 56 minutes. 1 contraction later, he had pulled over to the side of the road. I was already holding her head.
Boy, we made it 26 minutes into that 56-minute trip.
Yep.
My wife is an absolute legend. Just went back to where my daughter was born on the side of Route 6 and found my wedding ring, which apparently had come off my hand during the delivery.
Yeah, so
Very happy.
long story short, they're driving to the hospital. They are halfway there, and she says, pull over. I'm holding the baby's head. The baby's coming out now.
Yeah.
Dude pulls over on the side of the road, jumps out, runs around to the back seat. The baby is born right there into his hands. Like he delivers his own child. And then, of course, at some point later in the day, once everyone's safely brought to the hospital, he looks down and realizes his wedding ring is no longer on his hand.
So that old excuse.
Sorry, honey, I was delivering our child, and it must have slipped off my hand. 3 days later, he drove back to the place their daughter was born and found his wedding ring on the side of the road.
A miracle.
That's a miracle, isn't it?
That is nice.
I like that story. My buddy Tomo, great drummer, friend who lived in Ireland for a time. He lived outside Dublin, like, and you don't have to go far from any city in Ireland to be in the middle of nowhere. And he lived in the middle of nowhere. The hospital was about a 20-minute drive, I believe, on a very windy, narrow lane. His wife goes into labor. 2 a.m., she's like, hey, we got to go. This is their second child. She's like, this baby wants to come out. He calls the hospital. They had a plan in place. The hospital, the original plan was, the plan was we'll have plenty of time to get to the hospital. But now suddenly they're wondering. So he calls the hospital. Again, 2 a.m., small town, rural Ireland. And they say, we'll send an ambulance your way, and you start driving this way. The ambulance will start coming towards you. And when you see it, pull over, and then we'll put her in the ambulance and get her back here stat. Well, they're 10 minutes away from home, and she's like screaming like this woman, and we just heard, pull over now. He pulls over, opens the back door, and before he knows what's going on, he's holding a baby right there in the back of the Volvo station wagon.
Yeah.
And they're both in shock, but it happened thankfully, very quickly. And as soon as that baby comes out, they're like, okay, we have a kid. And what are they going to do? Well, nothing. The ambulance is going to get there soon, so they just wait. He hops in the front seat. Mama's laying in the back seat with their brand new baby. They're wrapped in blankets. It's like January or February. It's a cold Irish night. And they wait 10, 15 minutes, and then they see the flashing light and hear it. And he gets out and waves down the ambulance. They pull in, and he's covered in blood. I mean, it's just what it is. It's a lot of things happening. The EMT's like, what happened? He goes, it's fine. We already had the baby. And the ambulance people, the hospital staff, they're like, oh, my God. They jump around to the car. They look in there, and there's Tanya holding a baby. And they say, oh, that's so great. You feel okay? She goes, we're fine. Everything's fine. And the guy from the ambulance goes, well, what'd you have? And they both went, oh, well, I don't know. They hadn't thought to look. They just had a healthy baby that was crying, and she was looking. They're like, and then they lift up the blanket. It's a girl. The baby was 20 minutes old. They hadn't even figured out what they had yet. So anyway, if anybody listening had a kid in the backseat of the car, well, good for you.
Yeah.
These things happen.
Hope you had car seats. Or I mean, seat covers, I mean.
That's a while. I just realized I think that kid's about to turn 18.